Hey everybody, Gene Jackson here, inviting you to check out the Retro Wrestling Review, where each week I'm joined by some great co-hosts who help me review classic episodes of USWA Championship Wrestling, and right now we are doing week-by-week reviews of 1993. But we don't just do reviews, sometimes we get a chance to interview some of the people who were there and lived it, plus do watch-alongs. It's a lot of fun, so check out new episodes that drop every Wednesday at WrestleCopia.com. And to find links to everything associated to the podcast, you can go to uswapodcast.com. Hey everybody, welcome to episode number 9 of the UWF FuryCast. I'm the king of all wrestling media, Gene Jackson, along with the one and only Mr. Bob Anderson. How you doing, Bob?
I'm doing okay. How about you, Gene?
Pretty good. For those wondering, no, you're not hallucinating. We were not here last week. We missed our first Wednesday in the course of 9 weeks, and legally, I don't know what we can say or what we can't say or whatever. I'm gonna let you address this, and then I'll comment based on what you say.
So, 2 weeks ago, we were discussing our good friend, Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff. I was lamenting the fact that the elbow drops that he had been dropping here on the UWF Fury Hour maybe were not as exciting as some elbow drops that he would drop later in his career. So we showed a clip of him dropping a more exciting elbow drop, and that clip happened to come from an episode of WCW Monday Nitro. And when we uploaded that episode of the podcast, we were, what's the word I'm looking for, Gene? Contacted? Reprimanded.
For lack of a better word.
By World Wrestling Entertainment. They banned our podcast, that episode of our podcast, from being uploaded to YouTube. And then in a very odd twist, several hours later, they changed their minds and decided that we were only banned in the following territories. So please, if you know any UWF FuryCast listeners in any of these areas, reach out to them, send them a torrent, send them a download link, send them something. Because I'm
send them
sure,
our apologies for sure.
Yes, please tell them that we're very sad that we missed.
Sorry that 22 seconds of a Mr. Wonderful elbow drop cost them an entire episode of the FuryCast.
Because I'm just certain that we have millions and millions to steal something else from World Wrestling Entertainment, because
I can feel this one getting blocked as we speak.
Right? Because we were taken off the air in Afghanistan. We were blocked in Bangladesh. We were banned in Bhutan. We were thrown from the airwaves in India. The Maldives were not allowed to watch us. Nary an episode was allowed in Nepal.
Oh.
Pakistan? Nope, no Fury Hour in Pakistan. This right here is solidarity, because we were not allowed in Russia. And Sri Lanka? Nope, no Fury Hour in Sri Lanka. So if you know anyone in any of those territories where we were banned, please make sure they get to see the last episode. So we were off last week, as producer Smokey and Jerry McDevitt went head-to-head in the courtroom to make sure that we could present further Fury Hour programming to all of you, because we're not going to let the WWE push us around, because we need you to know the beauty of Herb Abrams' UWF. Gene?
Producer Smokey did just hand me a statement from one of our viewers. I won't say from which area, but he did want it to be known. I want to quote him as best I can. Vince McMahon is a very, very bad man. Very bad man. So, there you go.
Oh, my. So, yes, that is all true. We really did get blocked in those territories for whatever reason for showing a Mr. Wonderful clip. I don't know if maybe Nitro's still first-run programming there. I don't know.
So, but, you don't even know this. This just developed in the last couple of days. So we upload a lot of random old school wrestling on this channel for people's enjoyment. We don't make any money off of it. We don't try to monetize any of this stuff. We've talked about it here, I think, on the air, maybe, that, I'm a fan of Nature Boy Buddy Landale. So I found a very interesting Buddy Landale promo. It is not on the channel yet. I've got this stuff set up where stuff drops each day, and we're about 2 or 3 weeks out on a lot of the stuff. So yesterday, I uploaded a Buddy Landale promo from Smoky Mountain Wrestling in 1995. Same thing happened. Within an hour, it says this has been blocked. It's owned by WWE. It's blocked from the channel. 30 minutes later, they relent, and it's blocked in all the same places that our Nitro clip is blocked from. I'm like, WWE is on a mission to make sure that Smoky Mountain Wrestling footage from 1995 of Buddy Landale is not seen in Pakistan and Bhutan and Sri Lanka, but perfectly okay in the United States, in the United Kingdom, in all the main places that people are going to watch WWE, at least of a Southern wrestling territory from the 90s, but they block it in those cases. I'm absolutely dumbfounded, but here we are.
So the real story is I had a really bad case of war dance fever last week and was not up to recording, but we wanted to tell that story because we think it's fucking hilarious, and we have no idea in the world why a 1996 Nitro clip and apparently 1995 Smoky Mountain. I mean, I don't understand why the good people of Russia can't fucking watch that, and apparently they don't want them to fucking see. Maybe they don't want them to buy Herbie cookies, and they want them to buy WWF ice cream bars. I don't fucking know.
Could be, but we're gonna refrain as best we can from putting in anything that Vince McMahon or the WWE can lay any claim to on this podcast. At least on the channel, you'll find some stuff, but on this podcast, moving forward, we won't put any more stuff like that because we don't want to, rob anybody of any entertainment. Because in that episode, if you're watching this right now in Russia or Sri Lanka or Bhutan or Pakistan or India, you missed that episode, which means you did not learn, as we did in that episode, that no, Diamond Dallas Page did not invent the diamond sign. John Tolos invented it in 1990. That's something you missed out on. And I have another scoop coming up a little later on. We'll wait till we get to the John Tolos match. John Tolos invented something else that somebody blatantly stole from him. But more on that later. Stick around.
So to close this segment, from now on, this podcast is going to be UWF. Okay. To this week's show.
All right, so let's start where the actual episode starts. Let's hear from
the Jackoffs.
Cactus Jack, better known as their tag team name, the Jackoffs, but Cactus Jack and the least known Armstrong brother, Wildman Jack Armstrong. Check this out.
In this match with Sammartino and Strongbow, and my partner here, Cactus Jack, I've been looking all over the world for somebody with some intelligence to be my partner, but it seems like there's nobody around. But I got my man here, right, Cactus Jack? See, it's perfect me. to think what's gonna happen to you two when you step in the ring with the likes of us. We're not just partners. We're soulmates. We are the guys to contend with in 1990 and 91. Right here.
So clearly they didn't plan that out. He yells we're buddies, and Cactus yells we're soulmates.
I have two comments to make on that promo. First of all, them being soulmates is pretty progressive for 1990, so good for them. Secondly, Wildman Jack Armstrong. As far as I knew, the Armstrongs were from Georgia. They billed him from California, but if you close your eyes, I thought for a fucking minute it was Kevin Sullivan. So
I was about to say, if he'd have been Wildman Jack Sullivan, I would have bought that all day long.
Right.
I'd been like, of course he is. Yeah, he's from Boston, just like old. But as soon as he started talking, I'm like, hey, wait a minute. Maybe this isn't Bullet Bob's lost son or brother.
That's Kevin and Evad's lost cousin.
Yep, that was a missed opportunity for him to run in on some of them god-awful Sullivan brother matches from 1994 in WCW when we find out the Equalizer from Portland was a huge Hulkamaniac.
So we go right there into the extended 27-minute opening of the show where we see every sign in Hollywood that Herb could think to have someone film. And then Bruno tells us that the tag match tonight is going to be unpredictable because the unpredictable Cactus Jack's in it. And you know what? He's unpredictable.
Good call, Bruno. That is the kind of insight that we expect from our living legends right there. So, good job, Bruno. Asshole. Sorry. We got
Are you ordering a sandwich?
We got stuff happening in the studio here. Producer Smokey. Already been fed, you asshole. All right, sorry. I digress.
Jerry McDevitt calling again.
Yeah, he's getting worked up. So we know that now, not only did you have to wait in suspense for a week, some of these folks have been, in suspense for 2 weeks, wanting to know. I know they've all been just dying to know what happened in the thrilling conclusion of Olympian Ken Patera taking on the Russian nightmare, Nikita Koloff, who, as Herbie pointed out, is just like Rocky V. Not exactly.
Close.
Ken Patera's hair was kind of similar to Tommy Gunn's in that movie, but nonetheless,
close.
Here's what happened. Here's what happened. You remember how we've established in the 8 weeks leading up to that main event that there's a very strict over-the-top rope disqualification rule in the UWF, and if you throw someone over the top rope, it's a disqualification, so that when Ken Patera charged at Nikita Koloff and he ducked out of the way and Ken Patera went over the top rope, obviously that's going to be a disqualification. Oh, you don't remember that either? Yeah, see, neither do I, nor Herb, nor Bruno, nor anybody in the arena. Apparently, the only person who knew that rule was referee Jesse Hernandez, because he called a disqualification, and rather than them having that in mind and backing him up on that, Herb and Bruno are like, what's he talking about? That's not a disqualification. That's never been a thing. And so finally, the final ruling was just, well, even though there's not a disqualification rule, referee Jesse Hernandez said he shouldn't have done that. And then we moved on.
Well, earlier in the match, my favorite part of the whole thing, Nikita, gets Patera in the corner and goes up for the big 10-count punches, and Herbie, like the giant fucking mark he is, counts along with the crowd. Loved that. That was great. And then, my note was this match continues to suck in slow motion until we do the Dusty finish, which I think you and I have decided, are we going to call these the Herbie finish from now on?
It is officially the Herbie finish. And, as much crap as Dusty has taken for the Dusty finish over the years, Herbie went to this well a million more times than Dusty. Oh, my God. I mean, every week, apparently.
Yeah, Dusty did that shit on big shows, and he did it for title changes, not for fucking random main event of the week.
Crazy.
He didn't do it for fucking Jay Strongbow Jr.
Or, well, I'll just let everybody see for themselves. But anyhow, yes, it is indeed the Herbie finish, without a doubt. So we come out of that to our first match, and of course, I know you're excited when you look to the ring and see good old John Tolos, and of course, Cowboy Bob Orton, who's come out to his Bonanza music, and of course, we've established that's one of Herbie's favorite tunes, because who doesn't love him some Bonanza music? Let's be honest.
Apparently, someone went back in time and told Orton that I really was entertained by those suplexes he threw on the last episode, because he didn't do a goddamn one of them. He fucking threw forearms.
He's like, I'm a heel, damn it. I don't want you enjoying my shit.
He didn't do shit. He threw some fucking forearms and some fucking elbows before he went back to the superplex, which we talked before about how he kept fucking it up left and right. But wow, this week's was bad.
Yeah, we're fixing to take a look at that in just a moment. Like I said, top of the show, we established DDP ripped off the diamond sign from John Tolos. Now, for years, people have asked, why does Sabu point at the ceiling like that? What the hell is that about? Well, it turns out he was ripping off John Tolos. Look at that. That's exactly what Sabu did for the next however many years up till last weekend and whatever shit show he worked in a barn somewhere. That was a tribute to John Tolos. So, once again, these are the kind of nuggets of wisdom, inside information, if you will, that you only learn watching the Fury cast. So next time you see a Sabu match, remember, he's paying tribute and homage to John Tolos. And so while you're mulling that around in your head, take a look at this superplex and see if you don't agree with me and Bob that this is not a stellar superplex by any stretch of the imagination.
It's coming. When he gets him up on that top rope, boy, I'll tell you. You watch the devastation. Yeah, that's what he's going to do. He's going to give a suplex. There it is again. Now watch the hike. He's on the top rope, okay? Watch as he scoops him up in the air, how much higher he takes him. So look at that. Well, he delivered a good superplex, but I've seen him deliver better ones. That was not one of his best. But I'll tell you, it was good enough to get the job done because Rob Aller is finished.
Poor Bruno. Poor Bruno had to eat shit on that one. He's building this up like this is about to be the damnedest thing you've ever seen. He's hyping it up. And then Orton just basically just falls off the second rope. Well, he didn't. That's not one of his better superplexes, but it was enough to get the job done. I was like, I bet Bruno cussed him out afterwards.
Maybe the hepatitis was flaring up. Who knows?
It's something.
Why did Jobber have anarchy symbols on his boots?
Thought I was the only one that probably noticed that, but he certainly did. And there he is, victorious after falling off the second rope with his opponent in tow. Cowboy Bob Orton. And so now we're getting hyped up for New York City. People have been cutting promos for a couple of weeks now, talking about New York City, talking about landmarks in New York City, standing in front of a green screen with random landmarks from New York City. So what do? We really want to put this over the top. We're like, hey, Dr. Death, get you a couple of rails going there and tell us about NYC.
New York! Ah, boy, the stars are bright. You know the biggest match, UWF, is coming to New York. All over the world, the people are talking about it. Mr. Wonderful, what a beautiful city. They call it the wonderful Big Apple. Well, Paul Orndorff, it ain't gonna be so wonderful that night for you. So, people keep talking, people keep spinning. Big Apple, here we come.
I never noticed how much he does that in promos till he started these UWF promos, but every one of them.
Doc's my choice for promo of the year so far on this damn show.
And clearly he thought the green screen was going to have that UWF it always has. He's like, UWF! He's pointing back there and it's a picture of the freaking Statue of Liberty. But it didn't matter. He got his point across. They call it Wonderful Big Apple. I'm like, I've never heard anybody call it the Wonderful Big Apple. And shouldn't it be something Paul Orndorff is saying? Like, what?
You going to tell him different?
Oh, not in that state of mind for sure. So, We go from that to my favorite part of the show here, personal highlight. Larry Zbyszko makes his UWF debut. There he comes down the aisle. He's sporting that AWA World Heavyweight title, the very prestigious AWA World Heavyweight Championship. Take a look at that. Beautiful title. Won that in a big battle royal over some of the top stars in wrestling, including
Like
Jake
the Trooper.
the Trooper, and no less than Tom Zink, the soon-to-be Z-Man. So,
you got a picture of the opponent?
Oh, yeah. Let's take a look at his opponent. This man is known as the Bulldozer. And
he looks like the love child of the fucking Kool-Aid Man and the Michelin Man.
He does. That would have made more sense than the Bulldozer. I mean, I realize, okay, he's a big guy. We'll call him Bulldozer. But no, nothing about him to me screams Bulldozer. I think you nailed that. It's like... So, you take a look at that, and you're like, boy, they're fixing to have an absolute classic, I'm sure.
I'll give you one idea what Larry's first fucking move was.
Jumping out of the ring and stalling?
There you go.
AKA Larry's opening spot? AKA Larry's high spot? AKA Larry's hope spot? AKA Larry's finish? Let's take a look at the finish of this, because, all right, I'm sorry. When I seen this guy, hey, I'm a fat guy, all right? So I don't automatically cast judgment or dispersions on those of the fat variety, such as myself. I did not expect to see any fast movement out of this guy, but take a look at this finishing sequence here. It's actually kind of impressive.
But I will not take anything away from Zbyszko. Bulldozer just came in with a pretty good shot. Whips Zbyszko.
He's one of the greatest, Zbyszko.
If Bulldozer had landed with that dive he did on Zbyszko, he might have done some damage. Look at this, a big slam. Huh?
Wow, what a power move by Zbyszko.
Well, I won't take anything away from it.
That was quick. Now, I'm surprised the referee has allowed David just turning around and leaving.
Here, I will say something nice about Zbyszko. That was a very nice body slam.
Exactly. Shades of Pontiac, Michigan right there. Not since WrestleMania 3 have I seen a more impressive body slam from the living legend himself. And that's why they call him living legend, because of wins like that right there. Do you think that was supposed to be the finish? Like, I kind of wonder if maybe he didn't call an audible like, hey, that was a pretty good slam. Just stay down, dude. Because, I mean, I know that him coming in for the big corner splash set up for it, but I don't know. I seen him kind of turn his head where it's almost kind of like, hey, don't kick out, you know. This is going to be a lot better than me hitting you with
for a solid 4 minutes and then pick that big fat fuck up. I mean, what else is he going to do? That's this whole shtick in a nutshell.
I'm not going to lie, though. Like, I know you're not a raving fan of Larry Zbyszko, such as myself, but as I was going through, watching this episode, I thought, man, it's going to be hard for me to defend this match because I'm sure it's going to be terrible. He's going to stall around, and then he's probably going to pin him with his goddamn feet on the ropes or some bullshit, And then when he snatched him up and body slammed him and pinned him, I was like, wow, that's one of the better finishes to one of these shit squash matches on UWF from a guy like Zbyszko, other than, Bob Orton falling off the fucking second rope every single week with progressively worse superplex. Like, I don't know how it's going to get much worse than one tonight. Holy crap. I've been on some of the shittiest indie shows that's ever taken place in the states of Mississippi and Alabama with better executed superplexes than that from guys that have had 3 matches. So
you're not wrong, but
yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
I've been there. Those shows where you're sitting in the corner going,
yeah, or like, oh, what am I doing with my life?
Where you're the ring announcer and you have to pretend like you fucking are enjoying what you see, and you're like,
yeah. Let's go, Steve. But
USA.
Yeah, you're sitting there going, I bet there was probably an interesting episode of Dateline on tonight. What are we doing with ourselves? David Sammartino is at ringside. We're building to an exciting Zbyszko Sammartino feud because why wouldn't we? Rehash that.
And then my other favorite part was when they tried to sell how the AWA champ coming to the UWF means the UWF is just so goddamn important, because why wouldn't the AWA champ want to come there? Because those are the two biggest fucking companies in the world.
Yeah, I mean, so we're at the tail end of 90. Like, had AWA officially shut down at this point, or are we still like on life support?
I don't think they'd run shows in a long time, but I don't think they'd officially said, "Hey, we're done."
Okay.
So.
And it's because it wouldn't be long after this, Larry would turn up in WCW.
Right.
Shortly into 1991. And then the AWA belt would sit on a shelf somewhere, I assume.
I assume Larry has it, but
I believe he does. I've seen pictures of him with it and that Western States title that he retired after he won it from Barry Windham. They created a belt for Barry Windham and then let Zbyszko win it, and then it quietly disappeared because, who would have thought the Western States Heritage title would not,
I don't know. I think in the long run, the Western States Heritage title probably means more than Herb Abrams' UWF Heavyweight Championship.
Well, nobody's arguing that by any stretch.
I'm trying to think what this would like today. Would this be like the MLW champion showing up in fucking Impact? I mean, is this even that important?
That's probably a pretty close comparison in today's world. Yeah, or vice versa. Or the Impact champion showing up in MLW, really. They're kind of interchangeable. I mean, they're both on like a fucking public access channel or whatever.
I don't know who the champion is of either one, so
I don't know. I think the little guy with the headgear is the Impact champion
Alexander.
And if the Fatu kid doesn't have the MLW title, then I have no idea. Okay, then I'm totally out of that loop then. But anyway, that's for another podcast.
Yeah, that's oh shit, yeah, that's right. Never mind. We were supposed to make the joke that McDevitt offered us the chance to review 3 hours of Raw, and we were going to go to the Russian gulag instead. So.
I missed that.
Oh well, fuck it. Let's move on.
Next time they pull one on us. All right, so now we're going to B. Brian Blair along with Honey taking on the grappler. No, not that grappler.
What really stood out to me in this match is how much Bruno really wants to fuck Blair's valet.
That was my big note from the beginning. It's as if Herb and Bruno have never seen an attractive woman in their lives.
Right.
They lose their shit every week when Brian Blair brings her out. Herb's like, "Oh, the beautiful Honey. Oh, she's gorgeous." And then Bruno's like, "Oh, yeah, Honey. Like to get in the honey pot, if you know what I mean, Herbie."
Like, every time I'm like, have you two both been stuck in the car with Moolah for like fucking 3 days or something? What the fuck is going on here?
Like, is this insight into what it sounds like for Bruno to hit on a woman? Because I would pay money just to hear that. Hey, how you doing?
I have $1.
Come over here and sit on the champ's lap, huh? Anyway, before that goes any more, so another fun aspect of this match. We're on week number 9.
Yep.
Dan Spivey's face has not appeared on this show since at least week number 3, which was actually just from the very first set of TV tapings. And we're at least in the 3rd to 4th set of TV tapings. People are chanting Spivey's name during Blair's match here.
Yeah, Blair tries some technical, amateur shit, and the fans are bored to fucking tears and start chanting for Spivey.
And here's the crazy thing, okay? As a kid, I remember Dan Spivey in the WWF when he stood in for Barry Windham as Mike Rotundo's partner out of the blue. And then I remember him showing up, later in WCW and in All Japan and then on down the line. Is it crazy that Dan Spivey was more over on a show that he hadn't been on in weeks? Because you tell me one other time in your life you ever heard a Spivey chant anywhere, ever.
Nope.
Doesn't happen. But yeah, these motherfuckers are pushing his T-shirt every week like he's Hulk Hogan, and the fans are chanting his name. Like, they'd sell
Maybe
their souls
because I
to
don't
see
speak
him.
Japanese, I never heard one there, but otherwise it never happened.
Yeah. Crazy.
Though I got a little at first I thought it was funny, but then I got pissed because they conjured fucking Orton and Tolos to come out. And I was a little mad at those fans at that point.
Yes.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Hey, it's Bob Smith, and guess what? The Outdated Wrestling Hour is now part of the WrestleCopia Podcast Network. But hey, no fear, you're still going to hear the unique guests, comedy, music, authors, journalists, funny people. Who knows who's going to end up on the Outdated Wrestling Hour? Remember, it's all new and all old. So check it out in the WrestleCopia Podcast Network and wherever you get your podcasts. Listen if you know what's good for you.
Hey guys, Ray Russell here, curator of the WrestleCopia Podcast Network, inviting you guys to listen to many of the programs here as part of the WrestleCopia brand, including, but not limited to, the Wrestling Memory Grenade, currently covering the 1988 and the WWF project. You can also listen to the Regional Wrestling Podcast, where we talk the territories, whether it's Jamie Ward with Georgia 81, Roman Gomez with the UWF in 1986, or Gene Jackson covering Memphis in 85. 3 projects going on right now over there at Regional Wrestling. You can also listen to the Wrestling Stoop with the legend himself, Bob Roop. Bob goes back in time each and every week, covering not just his career, but countless stories and interactions with hundreds of wrestling names spanning his 2 decades in the business. But that's not all. You can also check out the Puro Wrestling Academy with the professor of Puro Resu, Mr. Dan Ginnity. Dan and I go back in time and cover the history of Japanese professional wrestling in the English language. And you can listen to all of those shows and more, all part of the WrestleCopia Podcast Network, located over at WrestleCopia.com. That's WrestleCopia.com, and anywhere your podcast streaming needs are met, from Apple to Spotify, Pocket Cast, and beyond. And while you're at it, why not subscribe to our social media guys for all the latest goings on here at the WrestleCopia Podcast Network. Plus, I'm constantly adding old school video clips and pictures from throughout wrestling history. You can follow us over on X, formerly Twitter, at Wrestling Grenade. That's at RASSLIN Grenade. Also, follow and like me, Facebook.com/Wrestling Grenade. And why not subscribe to YouTube.com/Wrestling Grenade. So if you're looking to support that next up and coming podcast brand, please consider making it WrestleCopia.
Now here's an aspect that we didn't really touch on. In the last match, I mentioned that David Sammartino came down to ringside and was, needling Zbyszko. And that wasn't a big deal. David can come down to the ring. He can watch Zbyszko. It's no big deal. Tolos and Orton comes out and they lose their mind. Why is he allowed at ringside? He shouldn't be allowed at ringside. This is fucking bullshit. Fuck this. It's like, well, wait a minute. It was okay for David, but now poor Tolos and Orton are out here, and they have an established issue with Blair. Blair ran in and hit Spivey with a chair one week during a match. We didn't really seem to be too bothered by that. So a real inconsistency on our commentary, but I think we've established that by now. That's not really news. But just something that I noted here is like, okay, so Tolos and Orton is a fucking travesty. David at ringside, it's okay.
You're saying these guys aren't Bobby and Gorilla?
No, not even close. Not even close. I genuinely loved. So I don't remember how they got into it. We're fixing to look at a highlight video of it here in just a second, but I won't talk about it for a second so people can kind of watch for it. So Honey comes in and she's trying to fend off Tolos, and she's got the shock stick, and she's just like, And Bruno genuinely gets so tickled at this. Like, in a moment, as they're trying to sell the severity of what Orton does, like, Bruno has to kind of stop laughing in the middle because he's like, look at that. Oh, that's not right. That's like he had to change tones. It went from a big silly clusterfuck to something real heavy very quickly.
Before you roll that, I do want to point out, yes, Blair's wrestling this masked dude Like, the heels are at ringside threatening his girl, but he still has time to get up on the top rope and do this fucking gimmick while Herb is going buzz, 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 like a fucking idiot. So they made sure to get that spot in. Because
I got a feeling Herb is the biggest fan of that spot. I think he's like, I don't care if they're killing that bitch. Get the buzzer in. The buzzer's over, okay? Get the buzzer in. So let's take a look now at the thrilling conclusion of B. Brian Blair versus Not That Grappler.
Tempted to come in. I don't know. I don't know.
I don't understand why it's got him in a small package here. I don't understand why the referee.
What's the Brian Blair doing now? He's going up to that second rope.
There's that. Love that.
I don't know. Yeah, this is about a tremendous elbow right on top of the grappler's head. And now he's going to come.
No question, it's the Scorpion. What is this here? Bob Orton. Bob Orton has just said he would have beat that punk in 30 seconds.
Meanwhile, there's a submission by B. Brian Blair. Oh, come on. Wait a minute here. Oh, look at this.
Look at this.
Look at Honey with that.
Holy cow. Orton has just side-slapped here. Blair. Tolos has that shoe, but Honey's got that stinger. Blair has just took a kick and a kick to the head.
Look at Tolos. Look at Tolos. He can't move. Uh-oh. What's he doing?
Holy cow! I can't believe it! Orton has just nailed Honey! Honey is out!
I don't believe what I just see. That was Orton. That was a deliberate, a deliberate blow.
Look at Tolos! Look at Tolos! He's so tickled in that moment. He was in such danger. He's like, no. And then Bruno gets so freaking like just beside himself. He's like, oh, look at Tolos! Look at Tolos! I guess he forgot what was fixing to happen. But okay, so the first thing that hits me is how genuinely tickled. Like, I love the buzzer is what. Here he goes. Love that buzzer is what Herb said. So not only did John Tolos, come up with the diamond cutter, he come up with Sabu's point, but long before anybody was loving that Danhausen, Herbie was loving the buzzer. So love the buzzer. So that was something that was stolen from Herb as well. So UWF is affecting all sorts of future wrestling angles. Just realize that here, folks. There you see Benny in the background there, getting ready to dive off the rail onto one of the other cats. Anyway, but like he goes to put him in the Scorpion, which we've talked about on here, and Herb goes, "Oh, there's no doubt that's a Scorpion." I'm like, there's a lot of doubt whether or not that's a Scorpion. Like, there's no doubt he's trying to put on a Scorpion, but I doubt that's actually a Scorpion. What a clusterfuck, though. But we go from like just complete silliness to, oh my God, he's killed her. He's absolutely murdered her with this headbutt. But I mean, would you say that's the heaviest angle we've done so far in UWF?
I think the racist referee angle was supposed to be, but it was so fucking stupid.
Yeah, I mean, from a injury perspective. I mean, other than we're supposed to think elbow drops killed a couple of jobbers. Viking applied them. And, I mean, yeah, as far as tone-wise, yes, the racist referee. I mean,
but no,
racism
definitely.
against the referee. But, I mean, as far as like, oh, shit, we've just seen something.
Right.
Someone just, get killed in front of us. Although it appeared to me that Blair got a handful of her ass on the way down when he went to save her there. When he went to check on her at the end, it looked like he pulled the edge on Beth Phoenix the other night and got him a handful on the way down. But that might just be purely speculation. I don't know. That's what it appeared to be. So
maybe
kudos.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's probably they're going for more, I don't know, I guess adult themed. Well, I don't know. I mean, like the fucking Orndorff angle where he was all bloody and fucked up probably would have been more serious if that stupid referee hadn't fucked the whole thing up too.
Yeah. Then it was just laughable. It was like,
right.
Come on, Orndorff, quit overselling it now. The referee's fine. You're fine. But it just, I don't know, like just that. it goes from Bruno's completely tickled to,
Right.
oh no, what's happening? Oh no, you don't headbutt the lady. So what do we do in UWF? We always double down.
Wait, first we got the random commercial where they announced that Greg Valentine's coming, which I don't know how long that'll take, but I did want to point it out.
Yes, and that's something we really haven't addressed here because I cut out a lot of the commercials, and a lot of stuff we don't see here on the program, but like that was addressed in the book from Jonathan Plumbon. You can get it on Amazon. You can go to our website and click a link and get it. But it's addressed in the book, and you see some of that kind of stuff here is like Herb was constantly, whether it was in commercials, or especially in programs that were sold at the matches, teasing all sorts of people who would never see the light of day in the UWF. I mean, there was Rick Rude, the Midnight Express, all kinds of people. I mean, most people thought when he threw Andre's name around, he would never show up. And then Andre showed up. So then it's kind of gave credence. Some of these people were like, oh, shit, we may see Rick Rude. We may see some of these people, you know. And then most of them you never did. But there was so much going on that made people, like, lose faith in Herb Abrams and the UWF in general. And that was a big part of it, was canceled shows. I mean, you know, there was all kinds of house shows. I guess all kinds, but there was quite a few house shows that were advertised and canceled that had people advertised for them that never ended up appearing in the UWF. And so you see that about Greg Valentine. You think, well, will Greg Valentine ever show up? Stick around. Maybe he will, maybe he won't. I won't say. But hope he does, because that will certainly raise the level of excitement from here to about there. And that's what we need right now. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, it'll take him 30 or 40 minutes just to get warmed up.
I mean, I don't know if you know this, but he broke Wahoo's leg. So.
He did. And then he has a built-in feud with Orndorff because Orndorff's using Hammer as his theme song.
That's right.
All right. Anyway, moving on.
And I'll say this: if he'd come in and break Strongbow's leg,
he'd be my favorite wrestler of all time.
He'd finally cure the War Dance fever. But nonetheless, are you ready?
Let's do it.
Let's go to Captain Lou's corner.
I just felt a hostile entity. Nothing was intentional. I didn't realize it was the broad, okay?
The what?
I turned around.
The woman.
I tried to take care of business. Looking at Brian Blair laying down there, that spoiled, rotten rat, makes me want to puke. I was just trying to get to him. I felt her, and hey, things hit the fan. It's not my fault. The way women's living that stuff is these days, who should complain about it anyway?
And what's
Free
wrong with
cheers
you?
from
Why
her.
hit the woman?
What?
You know what she has in her hand? A weapon, and she's going around like she thinks she's Zorro or something. I don't want to be stuck with that thing. You're in our match. Let me tell you something about women. Let me tell you. That's okay.
No,
That's
just
all
never
right.
mind. This is my corner.
Let
It's my
me
show,
tell
so
you-
you're in on my time.
Okay, let me tell you about women. Apparently, you've never went out with women. I had many dealings with women. Many dealings. And I tell you this, when they ripped off their brassiere a few years ago and started wearing pants, femininity went into the garbage can.
Feminicity
went in the garbage can. Okay, so we hit the high spot right out of the gate when Orton calls her a broad.
Yeah, I didn't
and
realize
Albano has to be the voice of reason. It's a woman, like.
Yeah, I'm buying that Albano never called a girl a broad. I'd buy that for $1. I didn't realize it was a broad line was hilarious. And then my next note was John Tolos is truly one of the most useless managers and worst promos I can remember.
Oh my God!
No, I laughed
She's
at Orton.
She's swinging that thing around like she thinks she's Zorro. What a great reference in 1990, freaking Zorro!
Fucking someone give Tolos a pudding and send him to the old folks' home. Jesus fucking Christ!
Orton was on fire in this one. He got the broad line in. He said, why should anyone be mad with women's lib and all? 3 cheers for the American male. Right as they switch over to Tolos, he slipped that line in the last second. I was like, damn, Orton's coming in hot this week. That's tremendous.
Orton's shit was believable for like that. That's what Bob Orton would say. Tolos just seems like an added on fucking douchebag that's there because Herb remembered him from fucking 30 years earlier.
I mean, it's like it's ironic they keep ending up on screen together. Because in my mind, he's as useless as a manager as Albano. Like, I didn't really have strong feelings about Albano one way or the other starting this podcast. Like, he was kind of phased out about the time I started watching wrestling in '86. He was coming out with the Bulldogs, but you didn't hear much out of him. I caught bits and pieces of the rock and wrestling, time when he was in feuding with Cyndi Lauper, and he was with Cyndi Lauper and all that shit. But I just saw that. But by the time I started watching it religiously, he was out the door, and I really didn't see much of him other than just WWF Coliseum videos in small doses. But seeing and hearing his ass every week, and I'm like, yeah, Tolos is more of the same. And when you put them on the screen together, it's like, can't change the channel fast enough back then. If that was,
I feel like I might have a different opinion of Albano if I could see him in his prime with the Sicilians or even like with the early days of the Samoans. But yeah, in this role, he's useless. And Tolos just seems like I don't even want to call him a mark for himself, but he seems like he's more interested in getting his own shit over than his clients. And
oh yes, without question. I can say this, the only bit of action I saw of Albano from the Sicilian days is a match that turned up on some video where he was cutting himself like it was fucking AEW Dynamite. Like the camera was right there and he's just like, like I've never seen a video from that era where somebody was just so openly just blading, just like goddamn tutorial or something. So I don't know that it would be much better if you could see his Sicilian's days either, but nonetheless, so we come out of that, and what do? We recap all this shit again. We saw the match, then we go to Captain's Corner, and they talk about it through the whole Captain's Corner, and what do? Then we see another fucking recap of the whole thing all over again.
The WWE school of showing you the shit you just saw.
Yes, but I mean, have you noticed that almost every time we always double down on who we usually see the guy wrestle, we see him on Captain's Corner, and then immediately cut to another promo of them after the Captain's Corner. It's not every time, but I'd say a good 80% of the time at least.
Because now we're going to a Brian Blair promo.
Of course. I don't have a clip of that, but please recap that for us.
Oh, so this one fucking annoyed the piss out of me. Like I'm really trying. Like I've read Blair's book, and like I've said before, it is an excellent fucking read. Great book. If you're into wrestling books and you haven't read it, well worth your time. Buy the book. Like I liked the Killer Bees as a kid, but they weren't my favorite tag team by any stretch of the imagination. But fucking excellent read, and I'm really trying to like watch Blair on this and enjoy his work. But this promo pissed me off. Like you just watched even if we're not acknowledging that she's your wife, she's your fucking valet. Back then, even if you were a kid, most people think, if there's a girl in your ring, she's probably your girlfriend or whatever. Like we all thought Savage and Elizabeth were together, shit like that. You just watched her get fucking headbutted. You should be fired up and pissed off. The first thing out of his mouth is, "Oh, Orton, you just stuck your head in the hornet's nest." He made a fucking bee pun right out of the fucking gate. Every promo, he makes a stupid fucking bee pun. I get it. It's part of the gimmick. But literally, you just saw your girl get fucking headbutted. Maybe drop the stupid fucking bee pun and be pissed off. And then, so he goes on, and then this is an exact quote. "It's one thing to pick on a woman, and it's another thing to hit a woman from behind." It's one thing to pick on a woman, and it's another thing to hit a woman from behind. Well, so I guess if they just come in and fucking, pushed her around a little bit or something, that'd be fine. What the fuck does
You
that
fight
mean?
her from the front. You could almost tie it in with that Dr. Death promo from last time, where it's like, you call me a back jumper, but I attack you from the front. That's why I tell you to watch your back, honey. Like, just throw that in at the end of it there. And then to add to the stupidity, like, Blair shit all over the angle, basically. I can just imagine Cornette watching this and then what he would have to say about it. But Abrams, after they showed the recap, and again, they're trying to make this scene pretty heavy. This son of a bitch headbutted a woman. Well, we just got word from the back. The honey is okay, but she does have a constant buzzing in her head.
I missed that. Jesus Christ.
I went back and rewatched it. I was like, did he just say, and she does have a constant buzzing in her. I was like, okay, so we're all just going to go out of our way to make sure, like, hey, if you in any way took any of this seriously and thought we were putting any real heat on this angle, let's let the babyface whose manager this was and the owner of the company remind you this is all hokey wrestling bullshit. Okay, it's all silly. Don't take this serious. Okay, it's dumb.
Maybe next week she can come out and have a fucking seizure. God damn. This show's stupid. Why the fuck do we do this, Gene?
I don't know. It's because we're getting. Oh no, we're not getting paid.
Maybe something good's coming up next.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling, the podcast that's based on the old school but can still help you find the good stuff from today. Jimmy Street and the Plastic Chic, Jared, are the undisputed tag team champions of the wrestling podcast world. From thought-provoking topics to superstar interviews to action figure expertise. This team does it all, and all they ask is, give me back my pro wrestling! Every other Thursday, wherever you listen to podcasts.
Hey guys, this is Wolfie D from PG-13. Check out my podcast, Live and in Color with Wolfie D, every Monday at noon. We're talking Memphis, we're talking ECW, WCW, WWF, everywhere that I've been. We even have some great guests, some Hall of Famers on the show with us. Every Monday at noon, Live and in Color with Wolfie D.
This is Wrestling Nostalgia, the podcast that dives into wrestling history. Hey, wrestling fans, I'm Dave Dynasty, and if you enjoy podcasts that are knowledgeable and history-driven, then Wrestling Nostalgia is for you. With great guests and fun interviews, there are over 200 episodes in our archives. We chat with several first-time guests and often cover topics not discussed on other podcasts. Look up Wrestling Nostalgia on your favorite podcast platform and visit all of our links at linktree/WrestlePod. That is linktr.ee/RASSLEPOD. And remember, wherever you go, whatever you do, be good, be safe, and keep on growing.
Oh, you hit the nail on the head right there, sir. We got something great coming up next because we've got the breakout star of the UWF. Sure, we got these old veterans like Brian Blair and Bob Orton and Paul Orndorff, and Steve Dr. Death Williams, and old farts like John Tolos and Captain Lou Albano. Hell, we even got Andre the Giant rambling, babbling in promos back in the back, ripping apart half-cut LJN dolls. But the breakout star, the man of the future, the guy who is bound to move on to bigger and better things after the UWF, you know who the hell we're talking about. We're talking about the Viking.
She is suffering from a persistent buzz in her head.
This guy is really an awesome sight.
Watch the last matches of the Viking. His last two opponents went out on a stretcher.
That's right. So far, every time we've seen now, the Viking, his opponents have been taken out on a stretcher. He is one huge individual. What power. Extremely powerful.
And get a load of that get-up he's in, Bruno.
Yeah. Look at that. Steps right over those top ropes.
God, I sure hate for someone to sit on that horn of his.
What is he, about 6'7"?
Oh, he's about 6'5", 6'6", 318 pounds, I believe.
Look at that, huh? He's like a walking condominium.
De Leon looks out of it.
Look at this. Look at this.
This is raw strength. And the last time he did that.
Look at that. Pressed him overhead. Nice. Slams him down. Ooh. You know, over 300 pounds to come in with all that weight. Look at that. I mean, he uses every ounce of
G. Leon in
weight.
yesterday's news. Those elbow smashes to the chest. He's going to need some x-rays, D. Leon. Nah, he's out.
You keep making all of your stupid fucking jokes about John Tolos inventing things. He damn near invented the storm cradle driver on that press slam.
Hell yeah, that's where Kenny Omega got that from. I'm not going to point it out, but he's about making jokes. This is serious business. That's all legit, man. Did you catch it at the beginning there? I forgot I had put that in. I made sure and got that at the beginning where he makes the line about the buzzing in her head.
Yes. I'm more concerned about why he's thinking about people sitting on the Vikings' horns.
I was like, why did your mind eventually? I'd hate for somebody to sit on that horn. Like, why did your mind go there, Herbie? Like,
I bet that didn't make his teepee grow.
That's a little insight into. So yeah, the Viking. He's starting to get a little more comfortable because he's jawing with the fans there. Did you catch that? He's jawing with the fans. He said something about a fat girl at the beginning there. I was like, all right, we got the Viking shooting on fans. That's tremendous.
Your clip cut it off, but that's okay. I wanted to bring up something that I noticed all through this show in several episodes. Like Bruno's like, how big is this guy? 6'8", and Herb's like 6'5", and he's 300 and some pounds. I've noticed every week, like the ring announcer will be like, and weighing in at 320 pounds, and Bruno's always like, this guy weighs at least 360. Like Bruno disputes the weight of every fucking guy they bring out. Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
Like, it literally doesn't matter who the fuck it is. Like, it could be a fucking bird-chested jobber, and they'll be like, this guy weighs at least 150, not 128.
Like, yeah. It's not like it's like a massive difference. It's not like it's like they say 200, and he's like, oh, it's at least 300. It's like he adds another 20, 30 pounds on, and then wants to argue about it.
Like, it seems like he wants to argue the weight of every single person on the fucking show.
I think the worst thing that could have ever happened is if you'd have had Bruno and that guy who did the King of the Ring that year.
What's this guy weigh?
How much he weigh, Gorilla? What's he weigh? On every person that come down the aisle. He would have said that, and then Bruno like, oh, he weighs at least 235. And then Herbie would be like, well, he's 220.
On-screen graphic could be like 218.
Bullshit.
That guy weighs 290.
If he's not 285, I kiss your ass. I'll sit on the horn of the Viking if he's not at least 275.
Oh, shit. But anyway, that poor jobber took 3 elbow drops. I'm assuming he died.
Well, here's the thing. More of this tremendous UWF booking and consistency. Guy took 1 elbow drop. He went out on a stretcher. Next week, a guy took 2 elbow drops. He went on a stretcher. This week, a guy took 3 fucking elbow drops. He should have went out in a coffin. No stretcher, no medics, no mention. It was just, he's fine.
Well, that guy did have a European tour, if you remember correctly.
Well, yeah, and, he's 200 and whatever pounds. He had more weight to. That's what Bruno was trying to tell a story. So you're making fun of him, but he was laying the groundwork and telling the story of explaining how this guy was going to withstand 3 elbow drops from the Viking and live to tell about it. So
that could be. Like I said, it's not just this match though. He does it every fucking match, but
it's clothesliner. It's one of those things you just start picking up on after a while. Like, why does he keep doing that? Maybe it'll pay off sometime. No, it won't. So here we are. We hear it from Andre again. That same Andre promo now that's getting to be kind of repetitive. You'll probably hear it at the end of this one. Then we get another Larry Zbyszko promo. Because why wouldn't we? He's tremendous.
Do you have the clip of that one?
I don't have the clip of that one, but please tell us what he said.
I wrote it down just because there's some random line about something about your old lady and her boyfriend getting in a car wreck and dying, and I have no fucking idea what he's talking about, and you're the Larry fan, so I was hoping maybe you could shed some light on it, what the fuck he's talking about.
I didn't want to draw attention to it because there was already so many questionable promos in this one. Because I was about to clip it, and I'm like, nah, we've already got 2 Tolos, Bob Orton promos in this show.
Okay.
But yes, he did say something to that effect. And there's got to be a story to that. I may go retroactively clip that and put it up in the Facebook group and ask people for context if anybody has any idea of what the hell that was about. So we get through a couple of tremendous promos there, and now here it is, our historic first time ever. In the 9th episode, we have our very first tag team match. It was set up during a Cactus Jack versus Chief J Strongbow Jr. match where David got involved, and then Wildman Jack Armstrong got involved. And what else could you do once all four are involved? Well, you know, UWF's a non-tag team league, but you got to have a tag team match at that point, right? So
in my head, Teddy Long came out and was like,
that's the only thing. Yeah, that's the only thing that could have made it better is if, you know, Teddy Long could have been there. But since we didn't have Teddy Long, at the very least, we could have had Tolos come out and go, I'm going to make this a tag team match, player. I just got a call from Dan Spivey. He's in my villa in Greece, and he made this a tag team match, player, because it's too soon to go one-on-one with The Undertaker. Because he don't exist yet. Well, he just started existing. Like, we're probably, 3 weeks into his existence, 4 weeks into The Undertaker's existence, but he's not quite being thrown into matches by Teddy Long at this point.
Yeah, he's probably still Kane the Undertaker at this point.
Yeah, he hadn't even dropped the first name yet, so he's Kane the Undertaker. What's up, Roxy?
And Teddy Long was managing Doom, I think.
Yes, he was. He was managing the World Tag Team Champions, Doom. This is, in fact, would have been during their Horseman feud, getting ready to head into Starrcade, into a very underrated street fight with Doom taking on Arn Anderson and Barry Windham, a match that is one of my favorite matches. That's one of the only high spots of that show. Starrcade 90 is a pretty bad show, but that tag team match was pretty much my favorite aspect of it.
Can we just do a podcast about Butch Reed instead?
Hey, I would be down for it. Butch Reed does not get near enough love that he deserves. For me, not to go off on a tangent here, but I initially only knew, because I didn't have access to Mid-South, UWF, any of that where I lived. So the first time I ever laid eyes on Butch Reed was the natural Butch Reed in the WWF. Let's just say, not a stellar run for Butch Reed in the UWF and the WWF. Then he makes it over to WCW. They didn't use him real well at first. He was just in prelim matches for a while there at the top of the card in '89. Then all of a sudden, him and Ron Simmons show up under masks. And even as a kid in 1990, when I was, 13 years old, I'm like, as soon as they come down the aisle, I'm like, why is Ron Simmons and Butch Reed wearing masks? Like who the hell else are these two big muscled up guys going to be besides Ron Simmons and Butch Reed? That's like the worst kept secret ever in wrestling. But anyway, that's we may do a side podcast sometime about Butch Reed, because when I got to go back and watch his Mid-South stuff and some of his stuff from Florida and Texas and different things, oh my gosh. Because I heard people like older than me say, Butch Reed should have been world champion. I'm like, are you high? Like, what are you, like the natural?
Oh, no, you're not wrong.
Are you crazy? And then later I'm like, oh yeah, I could totally see that. Because by the time we got to Doom, yeah, they were a great tag team, but like he was on his last legs. Like that wasn't a guy that could have been a world champion at that point. But man, go back to the Mid-South days, man. That was him and Buddy Landell and all that. Oh my gosh. But anyway, we're way off in left field. So we're going to show
this tag team match instead.
Yeah. So enough about good wrestlers. Let's get back to Jack Armstrong. So here's a couple of minutes of this tag team match, and then we'll talk about what we see here, and then we'll show the finish. But there's some highlights, if you will, of this tag team match.
He is a wild man, isn't he? You can't even understand what he's saying. Wow. Boot by Strongbow.
Comes the Chief. I thought they made the tag.
Yeah, it looked like... Wow. Sammartino got his leg on, it's got his foot on Jack's throat.
I'll tell you, there's one thing I've seen with Cactus Jack. I'm not taking anything away from his partner. But I've seen a Cactus Jack take blows that are absolutely unreal. It seems like he feels no pain.
What a slam outside the ring.
Yeah, I'll tell you, a slam like that outside that ring, it's bad enough inside the ring. They're extremely painful.
Wow.
Whoa. Awful lot of action outside here.
This is another suplex.
Outside.
Whoa.
Wow.
That's on hard concrete floor, Bruno.
I know, I'll tell you. I will tell you what. Boy, this Armstrong guy's bleeding pretty badly. I mean, he's bleeding badly.
Oh, that must have been from that metal pole.
I would think. Look at him. Yes, I mean...
Wow! She does vow to his Indian people that he was going to get back.
Look at this close-up. Oh, wow. That close-up really, really showed just how badly he is bleeding. Well, I'll tell you, whatever
Wow, here comes Cactus. I'm wondering why the referee hasn't even looked at...
You mean at
Jack? Yeah, it's blinding his eyes, it appears.
Well, he's tagged out now, so...
Whoa! Both of them go flying out of the ring.
I mean, that was like Cactus Jack came flying like a clothesline, and they both went over that top rope. And he's up already like nothing happened. Unfortunately for David, he's not quite that blow.
Now he tags in Jack.
Yeah, I'm surprised. Uh-oh.
What is this? What a
move! That right there is my favorite moment in UWF history now. Like the match, you don't get it all from that clip, but literally the baby faces work on Wildman Jack Armstrong for fucking ever, and it sucks. Armstrong is terrible, and like why the baby faces keep getting heat, just on and on and on and on and on, and the fans just keep yelling, "Tag Cactus in!" They're chanting for Cactus, and it just goes on and on. Finally, he hits that fucking tag. The place pops for Cactus. Cactus comes in, hits the clothesline, rolls back in, fucking tags him back in. They all audibly go, "Oh!"
It wasn't a boo. It was a collective groan.
Yes,
like it was just like,
"Oh!"
It was amazing. Here's the thing. Yeah, like okay, so. Basic wrestling psychology / common sense dictates, the heels take the heat on the baby faces. The first weird thing is David carries him over there, goes over there, and he goes to tag in Strongbow. Strongbow pulls his throat down across the ropes, which is kind of a heelish thing to do. It's kind of like, okay, whatever. Then he goes in, like you say, they're basically taking heat on Armstrong for fucking ever, and it's just like, this is so ass backwards. What are we doing? And then, after you spend all this time keeping Armstrong in the ring, David just basically carries him over there and pushes him like, I mean, the only time I've ever really seen that in wrestling is Midnight Express used to do that to jobbers on TBS.
Right.
They'd beat the shit out of one, and they would just toss one over there to get tagged.
They could beat the shit out of the other one.
Like, then why did you just spend 8 minutes beating his ass to hand him off to Cactus Jack? Oh, because he's got to hit the clothesliner over the top rope spot, and then immediately tag Jack Armstrong back in.
He makes what was essentially the hot tag for.
Yeah, he made the hot tag, which wasn't hot because David had to just carry him over there. I'm like, here, tag out, motherfucker. And then Cactus is like, no, fuck you, I'm tagging him back in. And then the crowd was like, ah.
Like I said, that audible fucking groan is the funniest goddamn thing I've ever fucking heard in wrestling.
It is. So let's go back now and see how this clusterfuck ends.
Wait, just to make the match worse, Larry Zbyszko comes to ringside.
Yes, which you're fixing to see here during this clip.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Go ahead.
But I have to say, after watching this, I'm like, oh, that's why they've never had a fucking tag match on this show. They don't know how to have one. Holy crap, that was bad. But anyway, here we go.
Tino and Zbyszko fighting outside the ring. You got the Wildman.
Yeah, but there's 2 against 1 in the ring.
Cactus Jack. There's Cactus Jack taking that golden opportunity. Mission accomplished. Mission accomplished. Zbyszko has detained Sammartino.
Wildman Jack Armstrong and the
Larry and David are arguing outside the ring. This is what took place inside the ring. Cactus Jack goes into his knee pad for a foreign object. And Chief J. Strongbow inside the ring has Jack Armstrong in a sleeper. Cactus Jack comes in, clocks the Chief on the head with a foreign object. Jack goes down for the pin. 1, 2, 3.
Armstrong and Cactus Jack. Sammartino and I haven't seen the last of us yet, baby.
Fiery babyface promo.
Thank God we protected Strongbow with that finish.
Yeah, so he could just trip and fall over freaking. So yeah, our first ever tag team match in UWF. Not great.
Not good at all.
Not great.
Though it's still the best tag team match in UWF history.
Yeah, well, don't worry, buddy, because the Power Twins will be coming soon, and this match will seem phenomenal in comparison. But just in case, I know what you're all thinking right now. You're thinking, man, I somehow just didn't get enough Bob Orton and John Tolos in this show. Well, don't worry, they got you. We got another promo from them. I scaled it down. This isn't all of it, but I just want to point out that this promo holds the record for most times the word baby was said in a promo that did not involve Jimmy Hart. So keep that in mind as we check this out.
You know, I hear, Brian Blair, that you're really, really upset about what happened to Honey. Well, honey all over your face, boy. I really don't care. And let me tell you something else, Brian Blair. Anywhere you want me, baby. New York City, L.A., Chicago. The Cowboy is ready for you.
Way to go, man. Way to go.
Thank you,
Brian, baby, here you are. Wipe your nose, wipe your tears, baby. You know what you should have done? You should have suplexed Honey, that tarantula, baby.
Well, that was exciting.
Well, he would have killed her if he superplexed her after he fell on her.
He'd probably dropped her on her fucking neck.
Honey all over your face.
Oh, dear.
That's what he said.
That's what Bruno's thinking about.
There's some honey all over my face, baby.
Oh, Lord. Did they
All
announce
right.
this main event? I don't even think I heard it.
They did announce it. I don't have a clip of it, unfortunately.
That's all right.
But, so, as I mentioned a couple weeks ago, Cactus Jack versus Chief J. Strongbow got so out of hand, everybody got involved. So it led us to have tonight's main event tag team match, featuring Cactus Jack and Wildman Jack Armstrong against Chief J. Strongbow and his partner, David Sammartino, which leads us to next week's main event, Cactus Jack versus Chief J. Strongbow in another single match.
Perfect.
UWF. I mean, that's all you can say. It's really, some of the stuff just really just gives you a headache, you know. You almost have to take something after.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
I know about the kind of pain you get just working for a living. But I can make that pain go away with almost no work at all. Because I take stand-back powders. Stand-back gets to work fast. Starts fighting pain and fever and even inflammation real quick. When my mama and daddy were coming along, stand-back was all a lot of folks took for pain relief. It worked fast then, it worked fast now. Try stand-back powders. It's an idea whose time has come back.
It worked fast then, it works fast now.
Well, thumbith, baby, that's the good stuff, if you will.
Yeah, I think maybe Dr. Death thought he was taking stand-back before his promos, and it turns out...
This will work a lot quicker if I crush it up.
Dusty said some really good stuff about this. Let me try this out. It worked then! It works now, baby! Ah!
Oh, shit. Well, that was episode 9.
I don't think did we even take bets on who would win that tag team match? I don't think we bothered since we didn't get a finish to Nikita and Sarah.
At this point, I
think we're just going to do away with that, because is there ever really a winner? Honestly,
in the UWF.
I mean, there's never really a winner. I mean, at the end, all you can really say is just...
Hi, I know lots of you have been surprised, but you've been watching UWF. That's true.
Unfortunately.
We'll just both start betting that every week we'll have a Herbie finish and go from there.
Yeah, I mean, the one who bets against the Herbie finish would have to be crazy, but I guess somewhere along the way you might get lucky and actually win one. But as we sign off this week, are you missing Billy Jack yet?
I do. I hope things are going well out there in Portland. I hope he's loving all the little kids he can find, and I hope he's just fighting for. Actually, I'm really hoping that maybe right now Billy Jack is somewhere in Afghanistan or Bangladesh or Bhutan or India or the Maldives, and he's fighting for us, fighting for this podcast so the people in Nepal or Pakistan or Russia and Sri Lanka can see it. Because that seems like something Billy Jack would do. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen,
good night. Thank you, Billy Jack. We need you now more than ever.
Hey, folks, before we get out of here, I'd just like to take a moment to tell you we appreciate you checking out the podcast. And if you would, do us a favor, subscribe, rate, and review the podcast wherever you're listening to this right now, wherever you're watching it. If you'll just take a moment to either subscribe, to rate and review. Let us know what you think. We hope you're liking it. But even if you're not, let us know what you would like to see changed, and we will take that in consideration as we move forward. So we really appreciate any feedback we can get. Also, we just want to say how proud we are to be a part of the WrestleCopia brand of wrestling podcast. Ray Russell brings you something for everyone over at WrestleCopia.com. Check out all the great wrestling podcasts available over there right now. And for all things related to the Retro Wrestling Review podcast, you can go to USWApodcast.com and you can find links to everything we have there, our Facebook, our Twitter/X, our TikTok, our Instagram, our merch store. That's right. We've got shirts. We've got hats. We've got phone cases. We've got all kinds of great stuff. And it's all right there at our store. And you can find a link to it at uswapodcast.com. There's a link to the YouTube channel we're associated with, the Retro Wrestling Archive. You can find all that there. And if you have questions for us, if you saw something on the show that you have a question about or a comment about, if you've got some info to answer a question we have, or you got a question you want us to read on the air, if you want to work out an ad swap, if you want to have any kind of communication with us, you can go and send an email to uswapodcast@outlook.com, and I will get back to you just as quickly as humanly possible. And if you're a fan of Dangerous Conversations with Doug Gilbert, and if you've heard it, I know you are, check out DougGilbertPodcast.com for all things related to Doug's podcast. You can find links to our Facebook page for the show, our Twitter. You can find links to Doug's social media, his Twitter, his Facebook. All that's available there, plus a link to the YouTube channel. And if you have a question for Doug you would like for me to ask him on the air, you can send that question to DougGilbertPodcast@outlook.com, and we will get it added, and it will get answered in a future episode just as quickly as we can work it in. So we appreciate you listening. Thank you so much, and we'll catch you here next week for more